Kyle Orton will try somehow, working with the wind behind him to a certain degree, although it is gusting. He will try and figure out how to take apart this Green Bay defense, which comes in ranked 11th in the NFL. There's Aaron Campman, who has 12 sacks, tied for 4th in the National Football League on first down. Handoff is to Adrian Peterson, and Peterson a nice gain of 4 over the right side.
You know, Kyle Orton making his second start. He started last week in that game and had not played since his rookie season, when he, because of the injuries to Rex Grossman, and he got his opportunity as a young player in this league, went 10-5, won 10 games, and has been put on the shelf since then. And I know that he's hoping to be able to make a pretty good showing and show the staff what he's capable of doing. Going to be very difficult for him to do that in these conditions today.
How about Peterson? 2 carries, a first down. This time he gets 8. Corey Williams downfield to make the stop, and it's worth pointing out what you said just moments ago in our open. This is a day weather-wise that certainly gives the advantage to the Chicago Bears with their ground game, although it hasn't been really good either, but they are more of a team built to run the ball. They just haven't done it that well.
Yeah, you know, I agree, Joe. I don't know that they're so much built to run the ball better as much as their passing game is not nearly as good as what Green Bay's is.
Peterson again, 3 plays, 3 carries, this time no gain. Justin Harrell, the first-round pick, was there to make the play.
And you've got to believe that, you know, they are going to, obviously there's going to be a heavy dose of running the football for both Chicago and Green Bay, and then when they do decide to make some throws, you know, you're just not going to be able to get a lot of throws down the field. Even in that 15-18 yard range, it's going to be very difficult to drive the ball through the wind, and even when the wind's at your back. I expect a lot of short 3-step drops, get the ball out and see if you can't maybe complete something.
Delayed handoff to Peterson, and Peterson is wrapped up by Corey Williams. Good play. There was some room behind Williams. A gain of only 1. Just to give you the statistics, the Chicago Bears are the worst ranked rushing offense in the league, which is shocking. And for a team that a couple of years ago was 7th best in yards per rush in 2005 at 4.3 per carry, they are down to 3.1, which is the 3rd lowest mark in team history.
Yeah, as the graph shows there, they weren't real good running the football last year. They just played really great defense, and then of course special teams.
3rd down and 9, first throw. Orton completes to Desmond Clark, the tight end, first down. That had some zip on it from Kyle Orton, who played collegiately at Purdue, and he's 1 for 1.
Well, this is a nice job of getting the ball out in front, because again, you really can't determine what kind of impact the wind's going to have on the ball as to whether or not you're going to be able to throw it where you want to throw it. But Desmond Clark doing a good job, and actually, you know, when you look at this group offensively, whether it's the wide receiver position, the offensive line, the running back, the quarterback, it's been the tight end position that has been the most productive unit for this group.
Peterson again over the left side, and just hit a wall, gained a yard. Cedric Benson, who was the 4th overall pick in 2005 out of Texas, was lost to the Chicago Bears with a broken leg November 25th, the game here at home against Denver. He had a couple of decent games prior to going down with a broken leg, but he was really in the category of a disappointment, getting the bulk of the carries the first part of the year.
That's right, Joe. He had not shown much throughout most of the season, and it wasn't until the last couple of games prior to him going down. And as Lovie Smith said, he's still a question mark going into next year.
Nothing, as Adrian Peterson was smacked, and Corey Williams was in there. First guy to hit him, Michael Montgomery helped out, and it's 3rd down and 9.
You know, that Green Bay defensive front, they've had some injuries. Johnny Jolly, Colin Cole, and then today they're going without Ryan Pickett, and so they're very thin. But Corey Williams, as you said, involved in the play. He's been banged up as well throughout most of the season, but he's starting to get more and more healthy. Says he feels better than what he has all season long, and that's going to be important for this group as they get through this game, and then clearly once they get into postseason.
Green Bay defensively has been outstanding on third down. Peterson, first down Chicago, and they love it here at Soldier Field. 16 yards on a screen, and the third first down of this opening possession for the Chicago offense.
Yeah, and that's already one more third down conversion than they had all of last week against Minnesota. And you see, I mean, they set this thing up pretty good. You got Olin Kreutz out in front, and then just let him pick his spot.
A lot more speed in the huddle for Chicago now as Garrett Wolf, the rookie running back, is in there. Not a big guy at all. And Devin Hester was in the slot as Garrett Wolf carries it for 3 yards. This is a guy, Garrett Wolf, that is listed at 5'7", 186 pounds, and you can see him walking back to the huddle against those big bodies of the Green Bay Packers. He is tiny.
Yeah, if they have him listed at 5'7", he's probably 5'5", because they always fudge on those things. But you know, I mean, I've seen him, especially here over the last couple of weeks, and the guy does have amazing quickness. I mean, whether or not he can hold up, time will tell. But he is the one guy who can take it the distance when he has the ball in his hands.
Gets it on 2 consecutive carries, sticks his nose up in there, and picks up a nice gain of 6. And it's a 3rd and short coming up for the Chicago offense that has been impressive here with their first possession.
Well, it's a nice job. I mean, they've been able to move the football a little bit running it, and then they've converted on the third downs, and that's why they're keeping this drive alive. But to kind of go back to what you said, Joe, I mean, it's hard to be a running football team when you can't run the football, and that's been the problem for this Bears team all year long.
3rd down and a yard. Handoff. Wolf gets to the edge. First down again, Chicago, as they continue to convert on 3rd down. Nick Collins, the free safety, made the stop after a run of 7 yards. And wouldn't Chicago love an early score here against Green Bay?
And a good job by the fullback. You're going to see Jason McKee right here in the middle. He comes off. He's going to secure the edge right there on Nick Barnett, which then allowed Garrett Wolf to get out there. Some good blocking also on the edge by tight end John Gilmore.
Yeah, Kurt, great moment obviously before that game, and I think the Giants have their hands full today, and if they do with the Bills at Buffalo, they do next week at home against New England. They could be in trouble. Garrett Wolf again. He's been busy, and on 1st and 15 he picks up 4.
You know, Green Bay, they can't like what's happening right here. I mean, you come into a game, as we said, with these conditions, you know that the, you know, not that the Bears are anyway. I mean, they want to run the football. They've not thrown the football particularly well throughout the season, but you're going to get a heavy dose of the running game, and yet they've been able to move the football against them. And this Packers defense, really, I mean, as strong as they are outside with the corners and Al Harris and Charles Woodson, this front seven's a pretty good group too. But right now, Chicago's having their way.
12 plays, 10 of them have been running plays, and Orton's 3 for 3 as he hits McKee. And the fullback is forced out right at the marker. Looks to be a little short of first down yardage. So another 3rd and short coming up.
Well, the Packers bring Brady Papinga. He was very active last week in pressuring the quarterback. And when you bring pressure, then you've got to be able to get somebody out there on the fullback. Nick Barnett responsible, but not until Orton was able to get the ball into his hands and pick up a pretty good gain.
3rd down and 1. Peterson. First down again. Another 3rd down conversion in Troy for a fan base that has been questioning the play calling of Ron Turner all season long. He has dialed up the right play seemingly every time he sent it in to Kyle Orton so far in this game.
Well, probably that, and then in addition to that, these players are doing a little bit better job of executing. And you know, I know that they're eliminated from the playoffs, but you know, they get an opportunity to play their biggest rival within their division, the Green Bay Packers, a team that they beat earlier in the season. And you know that it means a lot to these players to try to sweep them this season.
Peterson inside the 10, picked up 4. The Chicago Bears are 4 for 4 on third down so far on this drive. It's going to be at least a 15-play drive here at the start of their day, and this is an offensive line that has John St. Clair starting in left guard in place of Terrence Metcalf.
You say the Bears 4 for 4 on this drive, and they're doing it against the Green Bay defense that came into this game leading the National Football League, stopping people on third down.
Peterson and Adrian Peterson. Not much. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe got half a yard. Nick Barnett, the middle linebacker, who probably should have been named to the Pro Bowl. At least his teammates certainly thought so with the year he's had in the middle at Green Bay. Made the stop. It's been a drive that's consumed over 10 minutes off the clock here in the first quarter.
Well, that's one way to keep number 4 from hurting you. You talk about Nick Barnett. I agree with you, Joe. You always wonder how a guy's going to come back and react when he's disappointed and learned that he did not make the Pro Bowl. But I think he's had himself a great year.
Or end zone. Clark overthrown. They start with 3 wide receivers and a single back Ryan Grant. Favre gets it to Grant, and he has plenty of room to run. Ryan Grant runs right into Tillman, who brings him down in midfield. 24-yard run to start the day for Grant, who has taken over the running back spot for Green Bay.
Well, really well designed and executed there by the Green Bay Packers. You're going to see the line here blocked this way, and then Grant, he's just looking for the cutback, and there it is. Now, if he stays inside of Greg Jennings there, he might have been able to take it all the way to a touchdown.
Grant again, and this time he is met in the hole and dropped by Jamar Williams. Jamar Williams is getting the start because Lance Briggs, who's a free agent to be, is out. He is inactive, but he is not alone. For Chicago, Nathan Vasher started last week, or at least played last week for the first time after missing 10 games with a groin. He's out, and Mark Anderson is out with a knee. Briggs is bothered by a bad hip. So 3 big players not out there defensively for Chicago. Play action from Favre. Drops it off to Donald Driver. And Driver is brought down by Urlacher. A gain of 4. Let's go to Kurt for a game break.
Is it too early to vote for play of the day? Buffalo and the Giants. Trent Edwards finds Roscoe Parrish, and look at him lay out for this one. 42 yards on the catch. Set up a 4-yard touchdown pass to Lee Evans, and Buffalo's on top of the Giants 14-0 after 2 offensive possessions, Joe.
Wow. The Giants, their collapse has started early.
Yeah, now today they're playing without Jeremy Shockey. You know, that Giants team has been struggling for about the last 6 to 7 ball games.
Third and 6. The snap over the head of Favre, and he just covers up. So the conditions, the wind affects everything. Long snaps even on this punt coming up with Rob Davis at center, and now with Scott Wells at center. This one took off a little, and Favre couldn't get his hands around it.
Yeah, it looked like it might have knuckled back there just a little bit, but Favre just not able to handle it. You know, you can tell some of the things that you just take for granted, taking a shotgun snap, you know, even right here on a punt.
Like that. John Ryan is swallowed up inside the 35. Chicago takes over. Ian Badejo, who's going to the Pro Bowl as a special teams performer, was back there. But once Ryan dropped the snap, he was a goner. Good snap, by the way. Ryan just dropped it.
You know, good snap, but when you get into weather like this, as cold as it is, you know, your hands, it's the ball gets slick as it gets colder, and so if you're not accustomed to handling it like that, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he comes back and he tries wearing gloves the next time.
Starting at the Green Bay 34, handoff to Peterson, and Adrian Peterson gets it to the 31, picked up 3. Brady Papinga was there for the stop, and the wind chill of -1. 2nd and 12. Good little move by Adrian Peterson, who went right around Cullen Jenkins. Picked up 6. Bigby on the tackle.
It's hard to be effective offensively when you're having those kind of penalties.
Orton's in trouble and throws the football up for grabs. It's a hold against Chicago. This hold the tiebreaker because of their win on the 29th of November in Dallas over the Pack. Hand off to Ryan Grant. Not a ton of running room right side. Got 1.5 yards. Now, why is that important? All Packer fans sweat when they look at these numbers, even on a cold day in Green Bay. At home in his career against Dallas, 2-0. On the road at Dallas, 0-9, and you had something to do with that, as he made us aware of again yesterday.
Well, you know, we had good teams, and so did they. There were a lot of good matchups, but it does illustrate, you know, the importance of trying to secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Packers have to win today to have any hope of that. 2nd and 8. Grant nothing over the right side. Israel Idonije was in the middle of it for Chicago. He's been a good player for the Bears this season. 3rd and long coming up for Green Bay.
You know, to go back to that as far as playoff implications and home field advantage, I know going back to 1990, the teams that get the first round bye and play at home in the divisional round, they win 78% of the time. However, the home team for the NFC Championship game, or actually for the NFC or AFC Championship game, they only win 57% of the time. So what it illustrates is that it's by far more important to get a first round bye as opposed to necessarily playing that championship game at home.
Favre in trouble and trying to set up a screen, which has been tough for the Packers to do. Israel Idonije got up and knocked it away. And it's the screen game that has really struggled for Green Bay. That was a staple of this attack under Mike Holmgren and Mike Sherman.
You know, one time, yeah, Green Bay was as good as anybody in the league. And I know in talking with Mike McCarthy, he said, hey, there's still an emphasis on our screen game right there. Israel Idonije just does a nice job of batting that ball down.
Devin Hester won't get it as the punt is blocked. Chicago takes over inside the 10. Ian Badejo comes away with a football as Ryan had to shift to get the punt, and it's Darryl McClover who comes in and smothers it off the foot of John Ryan.
Well, the Chicago Bears, they got the best special teams units in the National Football League, and I know Mike McCarthy said, hey, that is actually the strength of this team, and we've got to do a very good job in that area. Well, they dropped the snap earlier on a punt. This time, they get the punt blocked.
Adrian Peterson up the middle. Nick Barnett came in off the edge. Papinga was in there as well for Green Bay. And it's 2nd and goal as a couple of the players get up and start shoving each other. And John Ryan's had a rough first half.
Well, and we talked about it just a little bit earlier in that, you know, Chicago now has had good field position. They took the opening drive. They drove it down. They got close. They weren't able to come away with a touchdown. They got the short field because of the fumbled snap on the punt. Didn't do anything with it. Now they're in a great position again. And it's not going to take a lot of points to win this game today. They need to score.
And by score, you mean touchdown. A 3-yard gain by Adrian Peterson. And it's 3rd down and goal. So do you want to try and run it into the end zone, or do you trust Kyle Orton to keep it and try and dump it over the defense to an open receiver in the back of the end zone?
You know, I'm not so sure that if I'm Chicago that, you know, I keep it on the ground and run it. And even if you're not able to get the touchdown here on 3rd down, you know, what do you have to lose? Make this a 4-down territory.
They do hand it. Peterson goes nowhere. Colin Jenkins made the play. Now it's 4th and goal. Orton saying let's go for it.
Yeah, I don't think there was any question, but they're going to settle for the field goal.
The Bears are going to pass on a 21-yard field goal try after the timeout. They've had a change of heart, and they spread them out. Orton looking right the whole way, and he hits Muhammad right in the chest. Wide open, and it didn't even look like Muhsin Muhammad got his hands up.
Well, yeah, I don't even know that he knew it was coming when it did. Take a look right there. The ball is out. Well, he saw it. He just never got his hands up to make the catch.
On 4th and goal, Packers take over with the ball at their own 3. Favre is in trouble over the middle, and it's incomplete, as Donald Lee had it hit off his hands, and then Danielle Manning got a pop in for good measure at the end of it. Meanwhile, the Packers now have started at their own 26, their own 11, and their own 3. But the good news for them, the Bears have started at their own 20, got a field goal. At the Green Bay 34, got no points. And at the Green Bay 7-yard line and got no points.
Yeah, I mean, as bad a start as Green Bay has gotten off to, only be down 3-0 is pretty good for them.
Grant nowhere to run, and this defense, Troy, which really looked like the Bears defense of old last week in Minnesota for the majority of that game. They look like they are inspired here against Brett Favre and would love to sweep the season series as Agunleye made that last play.
Yeah, I don't think you can underestimate what this game means for the Chicago Bears. Granted, it's been a disappointing year, and they all understand that they're going home after next week. There's not going to be any postseason play in their future this year. But this is a meaningful game. I mean, Lovie Smith has made it very clear from the time he took over as the head coach that they are going to beat the Green Bay Packers, and they've done a good job of doing that.
Favre throws it low. It's caught, but short of a 1st down. A little breathing room now with 4th down coming, and let's go back to the field and Pam Oliver. 1st down for Chicago, 4th possession. This time they start on their side of midfield, and Adrian Peterson picks up a 1.5 yards. Papinga on the stop for the Green Bay Packers. I remember when I got into this business, Troy, my dad told me nobody cares if the announcers are cold. Nobody at home cares if the announcers are hot. It's cold, Dad.
Well,
it's chilly.
There's not a lot of people that care, but I've got family back in Texas that cares.
Yeah, I know.
And you have family in St. Louis that cares.
That's true. Adrian Peterson right up the middle. Woodson trying to rip the ball out, not making the tackle, and he's down inside the 35. 21-yard run by Adrian Peterson. And here are the Chicago Bears again with great field position. 1st down after this gallop by Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, just straight downhill. I mean, these are the kind of conditions actually that are pretty good for Adrian Peterson. I mean, not really a breakaway threat. He's a grinding type running back, and he does a good job of finding his holes, as he was able to do there, and head downhill.
This time he fights his way to the 30, picked up 3. Nick Barnett on the tackle for Green Bay. We look ahead to next week's schedule. Week 17, final week of the regular season. Lions and the Pack. That game in Green Bay, a good game early. Cowboys and Redskins. Troy and I will be there in Landover for that matchup. The Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And by the way, due to flex scheduling, next week one of those games can be moved to prime time. As Varian is forced out of bounds after a gain of 3 by Al Harris.
Tell you, Kyle Orton's actually doing a pretty good job throwing the football right now. I mean, that ball there, and we don't want to beat this thing to death, but the wind is gusting very, very much, and so even to throw what appears to be a pretty easy pass, that ball's moving, and as a receiver you got to keep your eye on it and then adjust to it. But Kyle Orton has had some success, and he's delivered some pretty good balls on target.
3rd down and 4. Garrett Wolfe is going to be about 1.5 yards shy of a 1st down, and I think this is 4-down territory again.
Well, I think when it comes to the Chicago Bears, I think that they ought to just approach every series as 4-down territory.
Rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I know that, Lovie Smith doesn't want to say it, hey, we're playing to win, and I understand that, but in the process of playing to win, you're also evaluating a lot of people. And Kyle Orton's being evaluated. And I'm not suggesting that Kyle Orton is going to be the starting quarterback next year, regardless of how well he may play. He's been here 3 years. They know what they have in him, but he could very well earn a spot on this team for next year.
They hand it to Peterson, and he's got a 1st down. And up front, the Chicago Bears are winning those battles individually with Tate, St. Clair, Kreutz, Garza, and Fred Miller at right tackle.
Yeah, they've been pretty heavily criticized. You watch Olin Kreutz there in the middle, and he's able to get a little bit of movement, put his guy on the ground, and at every point, there are guys that they have pride in what it is that they do, and I know that this group for the Chicago Bears, they have that. They're a team that has not run the football particularly well, but they're doing a good job in this game.
Peterson is swallowed up, falls forward to the 19-yard line. Papinga on the tackle. But let's say this, there had to have been times over the past 1.5 years where Kyle Orton is standing over there on the sideline thinking, what has to happen for me to get into a game? And finally he gets another shot at it, and this is definitely an opportunity for him to prove what he can do here or increase his marketability around the league if he plays well these last 2 games. I know it's not much of a study with how effective he can be, but it's at least a chance. 2nd and 9, and a handoff to Wolfe. What a hit! Papinga again. And a loss of 3, and that's when 5'7" or 5'5" or whatever Garrett Wolfe is just disappeared.
Well, Brady Papinga, he's a guy who is a downhill linebacker, and he's one of those guys, whenever you go back and you watch the film, he's all over the place. He doesn't get talked a lot about. It's more about Nick Barnett, and then even a little bit of A.J. Hawk because he was a 1st-round pick. But Brady Papinga to me is the most active of all those linebackers, and he just shows up week in and week out and makes big plays like that.
Already got 5 tackles. Screen to Wolfe. Cullen Jenkins, the first to get his hands on Garrett Wolfe. It's 4th down, and let's go out to Kurt for a game break.
Well, Buffalo turned the ball over on their own 23-yard line, and that helped the Giants. Brandon Jacobs takes it in, and the margin's cut in half. It's now 14-7 in the 2nd quarter. You see the weather there in Buffalo? You thought it was bad in Chicago, huh, Joe?
Yeah, the only difference is the temperatures, I know, a little higher in Buffalo, but with the wind blowing the way it is, and you add rain to that mix up there, that's an ugly day for the Giants and Bills. 35-yard try for Robbie Gould. And it somehow comes back through. Look at the look on Robbie Gould's face. Packers start at their 30, down by 6. Handoff to Grant. Grant out to the 34-yard line. And I'll ask my Hall of Fame quarterback partner friend up here in the booth, Troy Aikman, if you enjoyed playing football on days such as these.
No, did not. Now, didn't play in anything quite like this, but anytime the temperature got down to about 20 degrees, I was done. So, and that's why I was interested in talking with Brett Favre before the game. He said these are the worst conditions that I've ever tried to play in. And, me saying that means nothing playing in Dallas, Texas. For him to say that, 17 years in Green Bay, that really is a statement.
Grant, foot race, Ryan Grant, touchdown Green Bay, no flags. And just like that, after being dominated in this first half with 3:08 to play, the Packers are an extra point away from taking the lead. And John Ryan, a nice job of grabbing it, getting it down for the go-ahead point. This one is just gunned and incomplete for Mark Bradley. 2nd down and 10 with 3 minutes to play in the half. This January, the All-State Bowl Bash comes to Fox, beginning with the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, followed by the All-State Sugar Bowl, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, FedEx Orange Bowl, and concluding with the All-State BCS National Championship game. LSU, Ohio State, the All-State Bowl Bash begins New Year's Day only on Fox.
Yeah, I was counting up all the bowls that are played. 32 bowl games overall. Teams with 500 records are playing in bowl games.
Here's Adrian Peterson. He's got nowhere to go. Campman out on the edge makes the play. There was nobody happier when the Packers just took the lead than our good friend Lee Remmel. So 3rd down and 7. Adrian Peterson carries it on 3rd and 7. That's already 21 carries for Peterson in this half. Starting his 252nd consecutive game during the regular season, and he throws low for Greg Jennings. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
After Buffalo got a roughing the kicker penalty on 4th and 11, the Giants' very next play, Brandon Jacobs, the longest run of his career, a 43-yard touchdown, and what was a 14-0 Buffalo lead, now even at 14 apiece. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, thank you, Kurt. 2nd down and 10. So far, Brett Favre, 2 for 5 for 9 yards. But a 1-point lead. Boy, the Bears sniffed out that screen early. It was almost picked off. Ryan Grant, the intended receiver, and the screen game is just dead for Green Bay.
Well, you know, Alex Brown almost got his hands on that one. And the thing about it is, you know, we see these games each week. And there's Alex Brown, who had an opportunity to possibly intercept that one. And they just know, because as soon as a defensive lineman gets engaged with the offensive line, and they sense that the offensive lineman is going to let them go, they are so good now at knowing that the screen is coming that they just fall underneath it. And that's why, not just with Green Bay, you just don't see many teams running the screen pass very well anymore.
On 3rd down, Favre has to scramble, flips high, and it's nearly picked off by Tillman. He had a touchdown staring him right in the face, was all alone on that side of the field as that throw sailed, and Tillman just could not bring it in.
I mean, you look at this, it's like a catcher getting mixed up on signals, you know, and all of a sudden getting a screwball when he thought he was going to get a curveball. I mean, he's out there, he's trying to navigate the wind as well and where that football's going, and you know, it's hard on everybody right now.
Bad snap, and this one is tipped, and the Bears, with 2 minutes and 19 seconds left, will take over just on their side of the 50. Moved when he dropped it onto his foot, and it was a 9-yard punt. Here's Garrett Wolf, and there's A.J. Hawk, and that could take us to the 2-minute warning. The Bears with the football. 2nd down and 10 for Kyle Orton. 4-man rush, a screen for Garrett Wolf. Olin Kreutz out in front of it, and Garrett Wolf shows his speed and is down inside the 25. Woodson saved a touchdown.
Well, he sure did. And the Bears, they didn't seem to have any problems running their screen pass. You know, they're able to get the ball into the hands of Garrett Wolf. And again, I mean, the guy's got such great quickness. And a little guy is able to get in behind the block there of Olin Kreutz. And then you got to try to get him on the ground. And as you said, Joe, Charles Woodson doing a great job of staying alive and going after him and saving a touchdown.
Woodson came a long way to get him. Also avoided that horse collar tackle. 33-yard catch and run by Wolf. Orton throws, pass complete to Berrien. down inside the 10. Plenty of time left, over a minute, and 2 timeouts for Chicago.
And Woodson just kind of turned him loose. You know, they're in man-to-man coverage there, and
elected to use one of their 2 remaining timeouts there moments ago. Back to the air, and now Rasheed Davis didn't have his head turned around and wasn't ready for a rocket from Kyle Orton.
Yeah, a little bit like what happened to Muhsin Muhammad in the field, because it's cold and these guys have a lot of layers on in order to stay warm, so their legs are not as lively and as fresh as what they normally would be. And so when you're heavy-legged and now you're trying to run a route and you've got a quarterback who's driving the ball the way that Kyle Orton is, it's getting on them in a hurry, and they haven't been able to haul those 2 in.
Orton 6 out of 11 with 3 drops. Adrian Peterson, touchdown Chicago. The big play on the drive, the 33-yard screen to Garrett Wolfe to set up the touchdown run by Adrian Peterson. His 3rd touchdown of the season.
Well, good drive there by the Chicago Bears, and a good job by offensive coordinator Ron Turner mixing in some of the passes in addition to the running game.
Energy from our group. We've been flat all day. That's all I got for you, Joseph.
I'm watching you down there moving around after that report. This is Ryan Grant off the left edge, no gain. Alex Brown there to make the play, and so whether it's Pam down there or camera operators or
when someone's
plastic
lunch
plates or hot dog wrappers or whatever, it seems to be getting worse down there wind-wise as we go along.
Well, there's no question it's gotten worse, and this is going in this direction for the Packers is right into the teeth of it. You're not going to be able to throw the football nearly as effective. Not that you can the other way either, but not nearly as effective going in this direction.
Here's Grant. Urlacher got his nose in there, didn't make the tackle, but slowed down Ryan Grant. Jamar Williams did make the stop, a gain of 4. 3rd down coming up for Green Bay, and the extra wide receivers come into the game. You said it at the top, and there's a guy, Brett Favre, who's completed 2 passes, and this is really a different attack than when these teams first met earlier in the season in October. It's been 4 and 5 wide receiver sets for Green Bay, but that hasn't been used much this afternoon.
And with good reason.
They do spread them out here. Out of the shotgun over the middle. It's picked off by Alex Brown. Favre's rough day continues as he throws the interception. First pick of the year for Alex Brown, and this defense, with just a couple of exceptions all day, has played very well for Chicago.
Yeah, they bring a zone blitz. They bring pressure off the edge. They're going to drop Alex Smith right underneath it, or Alex Brown, excuse me, and Favre does not see him. I mean, what appears initially is that he's going to have an open receiver catching the ball, running with the ball in his hands, and Alex Brown is able to get underneath that throw. Because of Hunter Hillenmeyer coming off the edge, Favre had to get it out of his hands.
Here's Adrian Peterson. Nice carry on 1st down of 5 yards. That is the 287th career interception thrown by Brett Favre. And just by watching the trash blow around this stadium, it is going to get tougher to throw the ball as we go along. It's 2nd and 5 for Chicago.
Yeah, and Alex Brown getting his opportunity to play more today because of the injury to Mark Anderson. You know, Alex Brown, of course, was a starter a year ago. This year he lost his job to Mark Anderson and, has been in the rotation, but great play here.
Peterson to the 20. 2 yards shy of a 1st down after picking up 3. And I would say that a study of the 2 quarterbacks, Kyle Orton has handled the conditions better so far today than has Brett Favre.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, they have been able to run the football. Green Bay has run the ball, but most of it came on the one long run there by Ryan Grant for the touchdown, to whereas You know, Chicago's been a little more effective running the football, and they've not gotten some of the situations where they just had to throw the ball. You know, here on 3rd and short, it'll be interesting to see normally a passing down, but will they run it?
They do on 3rd and 2, and Peterson is brought down right at the marker. Depends on the spot, and it's right on it. 4th and inches.
50-60 right now.
Quick snap, handoff to the up back McKee, and the fullback picks up a 1st down. Good push up front for the Chicago offensive line. McKee, who had a touchdown last week at Minnesota, gets the 1st down, and with just over 11 to play in the 3rd quarter, the Chicago Bears are moving in again, leading by 6. It's been a great year for Mike McCarthy. The kind of season he's put together after that win streak to end last year, an 8-8 record, 20-10 as the Green Bay Packers head coach. Play action from Orton, and incomplete. Pass was intended for Greg Olsen. And again, it didn't look like Olsen was turned around ready for the pass. It hit off a couple of bodies. Atari Bigby was back there for the Packers at 2nd and 10.
Well, Nick Barnett, the middle linebacker for Green Bay, he was able to again get pressure on Kyle Orton. So, you know, Kyle Orton not able to hold it and wait probably as long as what he would have liked to have gotten Greg Olsen turned around. You know, last week Nick Barnett doing a great job, probably the best game of his season with 2 sacks and 12 tackles in that game.
Peterson carries it on 2nd and 10, picks up 3. Aaron Campman, the first to get his hands on him. Yeah, this has been, Troy, a Green Bay defense that went back-to-back weeks at Dallas, at Oakland with no sacks. They started opening it up, bringing the blitz. They did so last week at St. Louis, came away with 4 sacks, 3 by linebackers, 2 for Barnett, 1 for A.J. Hawk. This is a different type day, however.
Oh yeah, there's no question. And all season long they've gotten pressure with their front 4. You know, all of their sacks except 4 came from their defensive front, and 3 of those that were not were last week, as you said.
3rd and 7, over the middle, pass is caught by Olsen, and that rolling grab sets up 1st and goal from the 4. Good catch.
Yeah, and right now that's been the biggest difference between, you know, the Green Bay Packers and then the Chicago Bears, is that they're converting on 3rd downs when they get in those situations. Nick Barnett, who's in coverage there, you know, just basically lets Greg Olsen get in behind him, and he does a good job of making the catch on a ball that was not an easy one to catch.
I want to go at 56.
Peterson. How about that? Prior to the snap, you could hear Kyle Orton ask Olin Kreutz. He said, where do you want to go? Oh, he said, I want to go at 56. That was Nick Barnett. It's now 2nd and goal.
Yeah, and the reason that he's asking is it's not so much important on running plays, but when you get into passing plays, protection is established based on who is designated as the middle linebacker. So Nick Barnett is that guy.
I want to go at 56.
So now when they get in that situation on a passing down, they're not giving it away because they're not only asking that on passing downs.
2nd and goal, back in the end zone. Clark, wide open, touchdown. And the Bears will go for 2.
Well, you see the release. I mean, you go play action, you run the football fairly effectively enough that down here on the goal line, you get all those linebackers think and run, and you're able to get a tight end like Clark out to the corner in an easy touchdown.
You could certainly make a case that this early you don't go for 2 and you take every point you can get. And The Bears, with 8.5 to play in the third quarter, are going to try and make it a 14-point game.
Yeah, I've never liked going for 2 until you get into the fourth quarter. I know they go off their charts. There's no right or wrong answer to it.
Tight end, Olsen, 21-7. Seam. The wind blowing toward that side of the field. First down, Green Bay, as they trail by 14. And this one is low. And a hit is leveled on Ruvell Martin. Hunter Hillenmeyer was back there, and Ruvell Martin, first it went off his hands, and then the hit by Brandon McGowan, who's been getting better and better after taking over the strong safety spot once held by Archuleta.
Yeah, well, the Packers finally go to a 5 wide, which is what they're known for. They've been reluctant to do it because of the conditions. They did on first down there, but as you saw, the ball just being affected so much, by the wind, that it's hard to throw with any level of confidence, and Favre certainly is not.
Out of the shotgun, pass complete to Driver. He's across the 30 to the 31, a 5-yard completion, 3rd down and 5 coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at what Green Bay has not been able to do today, they've not been able to sustain any drives. They've not converted on a 3rd down yet. And they've tried running the football. They've tried doing some things that really aren't characteristic of what they've been about this season. And I sense that on this drive, they're just throwing caution to the wind and saying, hey, look, let's get back to what we do regardless of what the current wind conditions are doing for us.
Four-man rush. Favre flushed out of the pocket, throws back across the field. It's incomplete. Incomplete for James Jones, who had 2 fumbles in the previous meeting in Green Bay. And so another 3 and out.
Well, another 3 and out, and now another punt right into the wind for John Ryan. And that was a ball that James Jones, should have caught. It was a ball that was low, but not a difficult catch to make.
It's been a long day for John Ryan. Catches that punt, and it's blocked. Tillman, touchdown Chicago. Corey Graham. There is a penalty flag on the field. John Ryan had to adjust to catch it, and Tillman came in there and got it with his right hand.
Well, because the punt was a little slower than what it normally takes to get it off, and Tillman, he's done this before. He comes off the edge, nobody gets near him. A pretty easy block for Tillman.
He did that against Denver earlier in the season, and that was a solid block. And the snap is dropped. Grant ends up on top of it.
Yeah, now the ball never even comes up. You see that Wells is not even able to get a grip on the ball to bring it up into Brett Favre's hands. And go back and take a look at the punt, the block by Tillman. Watch him here, and then he comes up and gets unblocked. Now, John Kuhn, who was the protector on that play, never saw it. No one saw Tillman sliding in as a gunner and then being able to rush the punter and block that.
2nd and 14. Quick throw, and the pass is complete to Bubba Franks, who's playing in his first game since October 14th. He's been out with a sprained knee. By the way, it's an impressive record that the Packers have put together. They've had 2 punts blocked today, the Packers have. And the last time they had a punt blocked was 1995 right here at Chicago. So bad weather and all. Think of the wind and a wet football. Late in the season, they had not had one blocked in 12 years.
Well, and as Mike McCarthy said coming into the game, he really felt the special teams for the Bears was the strength of their team and that they were going to have to win in that phase. Clearly, Chicago has won that battle.
3rd down and 6, and the pass is caught by Donald Driver. The throw is behind him. Good catch. 12-yard completion, 1st down Packers.
Well, these receivers, if they don't know already, they're going to find out real soon that there's not going to be a lot of throws that are going to be right where you want them to be. That, you know, the ball's coming in and it's moving while it's in flight, and you just got to be prepared to make an adjustment and make a catch. And that was a good catch by Donald Driver on a ball that was thrown low and behind him.
A blitz. Favre gets crushed, and Jennings makes the catch for a 1st down. Favre got absolutely plastered before he threw that 20-yard completion to Greg Jennings.
Yeah, Hunter Hillenmeyer, he comes inside. Favre never even sees him coming. I mean, it just lights him up as soon as he let go of the football. That was one of those I'm not real sure that Favre was going to get up, but he did. And he's able to complete the pass in the process. You don't see too many hits quite like that. You know, they've had to abandon the running game because of the score and just go back to their 5-wide sets.
Back to a 4-man rush, and that one off the hands of Hillenmeyer and into the arms of Ruvell Martin for a 1st down. That should have been picked, or at least knocked down, but it was deflected by Hunter Hillenmeyer.
Knocked down if it's self-defense. I mean, that ball right there, you know, that's the one thing that when you talk to these linebackers, you know, when you're going against Brett Favre, it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to have opportunities for interceptions, but you got to make the catch. And if you're not used to catching balls coming at you that hard, it's very difficult then to do.
Best drive of the day put together by Green Bay, and as I say that, Tommy Harris comes in and makes a play on Grant, a loss of 2.
Yeah, good job by Tommy Harris, and he is one of those players that has been banged up all season long, and I know he's gained a lot of my respect on the fact that, you know, he came into the year, he had the hamstring surgery in the offseason. He battles through that. He's had back injuries, had knee injuries, and yet he keeps showing up. He hasn't missed any games, and he's got 7 sacks. I mean, he's had a productive year considering all that he's battled through.
Second and 12. Favre, middle of the field, incomplete. Manning down there defending Donald Lee. Favre backs up as he throws, completes to Jennings. Penalty flag at the end of the play. And it's an offensive pass interference call.
So it's not going to be easy for him to be able to drive the football and get to where he needs to get to maybe go forward for 4th down.
Pass is incomplete for Donald Lee. And now we'll see what the decision is. Probably punt with answer to that question is it has been a disastrous day for Green Bay as Garrett Wolfe takes it out near the 24.
Well, and right now is where Green Bay really does miss a guy like Ryan Pickett, and you know, in addition to that, some of the injuries that they've had along that defensive line. I mean, right now, because of the situation in this game, Chicago clearly would like to run the football and start taking as much time off this clock as possible. And what is Green Bay going to be able to do about it? I mean, that's the big question. So far, they've really not been able to do much.
2nd down and 6. Garrett Wolfe off the right side. Michael Montgomery steps up and makes the play. You know, you and I have always remarked to each other that even when Rex Grossman was injured a couple of years ago, this Bears organization was convinced that they had their quarterback, and we know how that has played out. The other question that at least I always had is, how were they so convinced that Kyle Orton wasn't their quarterback after going 10-5 as a rookie? Yeah, the numbers weren't that great, but he did win 10 games before handing off to Grossman at the very end of the season and into the playoffs in that loss against Carolina. And Orton has been very impressive here today. 3rd and 7. Wolf, A.J. Hawk with help underneath from Corey Williams. It's 4th down.
You know, I think to answer that, Joe, with Kyle Orton, even though they won 10 games when he was a rookie, nobody felt that they were winning games because of his play.
No expense to make sure Mike is warm. Game break coming. We start the 4th quarter here in Chicago. There's a screen for Morency, and he on 1st down picks up 7. Not at all, and it's, I would say, defensively been a good day for Chicago here at Soldier Field. 2nd and 3. Favre nowhere to go except down. Alex Brown, the first guy there. Agunlier came in after a loss of 4.
Yeah, and this time they were going to try to finally get something going down the field, and Favre just couldn't find anywhere to go with it. No one open, doing a good job in coverage underneath, and then outside one-on-one with Charles Tillman on James Jones. And before Favre could even do anything else other than that, he's under attack by Alex Brown, and good pressure inside by this Bears defensive front.
Matt Toina was in there as well, a guy that the Bears just picked up from Cincinnati off their practice squad. On 3rd down and 7 over the middle, Jennings had to wait for it, makes the catch, survives the hit, and a 17-yard completion for 1st down.
Yeah, that was a good throw there by Brett, and if the Packers are going to have any opportunity to get back into this ball game, this is a critical possession for them. I mean, I see it as though they have to be able to move down the field and come away with a touchdown in order to put any kind of pressure back on Chicago.
Favre underneath, Morency out of the backfield of the 35, and Troy, to bring back something you said earlier, they also in this 4th quarter, albeit down by 21, seem to be going in the better direction if they want to throw the ball and complete passes, because the other way nothing's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the other way you're throwing into the wind, so you really can't drive anything. But even though you have the wind at your back, when you're talking about 30-40 mile an hour winds, it still is impacting the ball flight, which is hard then to get the ball down to where you need it.
Here's Jennings. It was tipped and he still caught it. Now he put it on the ground. They're blowing the play dead back at the 15, and they say incomplete now. Jennings had it, lost it when he hit the ground, and let's take another look. Right now they're saying incomplete. It was tipped by Urlacher.
Yeah, Urlacher gets the tip, and good concentration, is almost able to make the catch off his helmet. But yeah, I think that's a good ruling there by the official. Urlacher doing a good job getting underneath the route, and it looked like he never quite had possession when he was coming down off the helmet before it came out of his hands.
That was a good call, and it's 3rd and 6. Out of the shotgun on 3rd down, Favre slings it, incomplete. Urlacher got his hands on it, and it's 4th and 6.
Well, Brian Urlacher, I mean, this is what he does within this Tampa 2 scheme, is he drops to the middle of the field, and he's got such good range for a middle linebacker that I don't think Brett ever saw him. But he reads his eyes and almost has an interception. It goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier. It's one thing to get there. It's an entirely different task trying to catch the ball.
Jennings limped off the field after that incompletion. It's 4th down. A blitz over the middle. Driver, big 1st down. Green Bay inside the 25. to the 24, an 11-yard completion, and Favre knew right where he was going with it.
Yeah, not surprising. Two things. One, you'd throw the ball to Donald Driver, and then two, that you'd hit him on a slant. I mean, that really is the bread and butter for the Green Bay Packers.
12 minutes to play. Favre drops it down to Morency. A couple of good moves, and he picks up 9.5. It depends on the spot. And they've given Morency enough for a first down. So a 10-yard catch and run. And it's a first down inside the 15-yard line. Just inside the 14. And Mike McCarthy going to work over on the sideline, trying to get back into this game. Quick throw, picked off Urlacher. And Brian Urlacher will cruise down the sideline and coast for the touchdown. No flags. He's still playing. 85-yard interception return. And how'd he catch this after it banged off his shoulder pad and arm and then showed his speed?
Well, again, it was Hunter Hillenmeyer who was coming on pressure, unblocked, and that's why Favre had to unload it. See the pressure there and the hit by Hunter Hillenmeyer.
Completion percentage, maybe he doesn't want a home game in late January. Here's Ryan Grant. By the way, Greg Jennings has just gone into the locker room to retape an ankle. We'll keep an eye and an ear on his status, and we will go for a game break after the next play, after Grant picked up a yard on first down.
You know, you wonder why Brett Favre is even still in the game. I mean, at the score right now at 35-7 and under 11 minutes in the fourth quarter, I mean, it's highly unlikely that they're going to be able to get back into this ball game. And right now, I think you'd just like to try to preserve as many players as what you can. Obviously, next week they'll be able to rest a number of them. But I think you're just taking a chance on losing your key guy.
Here's Corin Robinson, makes the catch and hops out near midfield. Let's go for the game break now. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, of course, Green Bay is already in the playoffs. Saints fighting to try and stay in the race. But Philadelphia is having a good day against them. Greg Lewis with the second touchdown pass from McNabb. And they're up 31-17. That was in the third quarter. Joe?
All right, Kurt. It makes us think about the rest of the playoff picture. The top end of it's pretty clear. But it gets really interesting as you go down to the wild card chase with the Giants at last report losing at Buffalo, and then Minnesota. Here's Lee, makes the catch, brought down by Alex Brown. Troy, that game tonight is huge between the Minnesota Vikings and the Washington Redskins. Both are definitely alive. You look at New Orleans, they're in trouble today. But the Giants aren't guaranteed of anything, and Minnesota, they've won 5 straight. They appear of that group to be the most dangerous team.
Yeah, you know, there's no question that tonight's game is a big game, and the Giants, if they're not able to beat Buffalo today, I mean, they're going to have their hands full next week at New England. They could theoretically see themselves outside the playoff picture sitting home in January.
Underneath, it's Grant, makes a move and picks up a first down.
You know, kind of like what you've talked a little bit about in this game, that I know there's a lot of people back home in Dallas sitting on their couches right now watching this game with a big smile on their face, knowing that they're going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You know, you think back to the last time the Cowboys met the Packers, you know, just a few weeks ago, and you know, Dallas jumped out on them early, and then Aaron Rodgers came in for an injured Favre and played exceptionally well. That was a heck of a game.
Good play by Jamar Williams. A loss of 1 as he knocks down Ryan Grant. And Jamar Williams has played well in place of Lance Briggs, and the Bears have to figure out at the end of the year how much they want to spend on Lance Briggs, and Lance has to figure out if he wants to come back. It was over 500 catches in his career, one of 3 to do it in a Packer uniform. All with Green Bay. Lofton, Sterling Sharp,
okay, here we go.
and now Driver. But he has only 2 touchdowns. Favre throws sideline. Robinson had fallen down, and the pass nearly picked off by Tillman. Well, Brett Favre has had a rough day. Not a whole lot of protection. The wind, the ball has sailed on him. It's not gone where he is trying to put it. Been picked off a couple of times. Many more opportunities for this Bears defense, and the latest was Urlacher with that 85-yard return for a touchdown.
And you knew in talking with Brett before the game that he anticipated that it was going to be a tough game for him.
I'm with you. There are a lot of Packer fans that are holding their breath on this cold day, hoping that Brett Favre doesn't get injured on some freak hit. Then you say, well, history tells you he always answers the bell. He's, you know, you don't, but this is a 38-year-old guy playing on a frigid day, and if he gets one hit the wrong way, Mike McCarthy will never forgive himself in a 35-7 game that's out of hand.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for me. I know Aaron Rodgers, he's the 3rd quarterback today. He's still coming back from a hamstring injury, but they do have Craig Nall, and he does know the offense.
Here's Brandon Jackson, and the rookie with a nice carry. 2nd-round pick out of Nebraska, good for 15. Here's Kurt Menefee in a game break.
The Giants with a couple of chances to take the lead against Buffalo, but they can't do it. Eli fumbles the snap at the 10-yard line. Bills recover. Now, earlier in the half, the Giants had 4 cracks from the half-yard line, didn't get in, and so they're still down 21-17 in the 4th quarter. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, Kurt, thank you. First down for Green Bay. From the Chicago 12, Ryan Grant, Israeli Donijay, who's been a good player for Chicago this season.
You know, if nothing else, Joe, as far as Brett Favre still being in the game and playing here late in the 4th quarter with the score what it is, if nothing else, maybe Mike McCarthy's just saying, hey, look, we've struggled offensively. Let's try to get something going here. But, you know, even if that is the thought process, you know, from Mike McCarthy, I don't agree with it. You know, just because of who it is that we're talking about and how vital he is to this team's success once they get into postseason play.
Ryan Grant's at 100 yards for the day, and Brett Favre can't corral the snap and just ends up grabbing it and laying down on the ground.
I was gonna say, you know, you see that ball come out, and it's just I mean, it's not a long distance there from the center to the quarterback. It gives you a good indication as to how much it's blowing just moving it. And sometimes it's better in these conditions just to not even get into shotgun formation to avoid that. We've had a number of problems, as we've seen, with shotgun snaps as well as the snaps on the punts.
3rd and 14 now. This one's batted down. That's happened all day. Jamar Williams got his hands up. Corin Robinson, the intended receiver. Now it's 4th and 14.
You know, you mentioned Jamar Williams a little bit earlier and what his, you know, role is going to be moving into next year. He would have been the starter for the Chicago Bears had they not have signed, you know, Lance Briggs right when they were getting ready to start the season. He's a guy who can play all 3 linebacker positions. I know that in talking with Lovie Smith, he's not showing them anything here today that they already don't know about him. He's going to be a quality player. It's just a matter of when. It sounds more and more like it's going to start next year.
A blitz from Chicago. Corin Robinson, good luck. Penalty flag on the play. First play is a handoff to Adrian Peterson. He is going to need to get into a hot tub at the end of this one. He has been running all day. 2nd and 4. Adrian Peterson. Not only has he had a busy day, he's had an effective day running the football. It depends on the spot as to whether that's enough for a first down. And really, the tone was set for this game, Troy, with that first possession that covered over 10 minutes off the clock. Went right down the field. Chicago only got the field goal, but they ran it right down Green Bay's throat.
Yeah, they sure did. And I think right now, you know, what's interesting is watching that game last night with Dallas and Carolina. Dallas over the last 3 weeks has not looked all that good. They're not playing their best football, whereas Green Bay coming into this game, they've been playing pretty well here over about the last 5 or 6 weeks, and now today they did not.
And off to McKee. Jason McKee has a first down. You may or may not know, as the ball came out, and now they're going to start fighting and wrestling, and the umpire is right in the middle of it. He takes out Nick Barnett. Fans around here have criticized the quarterback play about over the last 2 years, as he has not made mistakes to cost him. And like you said earlier, Lovie Smith liked to say, well, we're 10-3 with Rex Grossman as our quarterback, and to really take Rex Grossman out of it, Orton, it's not been a fantastic day, but he has certainly handled the elements, handled this offense, got him moving in and out of the huddle, and he has not made that killer mistake dropping a snap, dropping the football that's hurt his team.
Well, I agree, and he didn't do that when he was starting as a rookie either. I just think that it's going to be hard for the Bears to go into next season without making some other changes at the quarterback position and feeling like they've got their guy right here.
It's Garrett Wolf. Yeah, I agree with you.
You know,
all that good special teams play and the defensive work, the touchdown by Urlacher helps to explain why, and here we go again.
Yeah, there's just no point in any of this. I mean, you see Nick Barnett getting in there and shoving people around, and he's had too good a year to get involved in something like this. The Bears have taken it to the Packers all day long, and to now act like you're going to get frustrated and actually get involved in a play is a little childish.
It's Garrett Wolf who's underneath there, and Barnett wouldn't get him off, would not get off him, and now it's 4th down. I started to say the special teams play in the game. Meanwhile, Favre is still out there with 1:05 to go. And he hands to Brandon Jackson. The rookie gets 9.5. Let's go for an update. Needs to go, and this should be it. 2nd and 1. Jackson again. And this Bears defense is still fighting them. A game produced by Richie Zients, directed by Artie Kemner, technical producer Joe Stevens, technical directors Colby Bourgeois. Thanks to Steve Horn, editorial consultant here in the booth, and our great crew for braving the elements down there. It was a solid, if not spectacular, day for Kyle Orton, and it's an upset win for the Chicago Bears, big over the Green Bay Packers. That means that the Dallas Cowboys will wrap up home field advantage by sitting there on their heels at the conclusion of their win last night over Carolina. 35-7. Back after this to wrap it up.